Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a VOD review for our match from last night. We played Bay State College. Bay State College has a Challenger support player, an ex-Challenger jungler, and an ex-professional top laner. With that being said, I think right now we definitely had our chances. We got destroyed in the first game. And the second game was a lot closer, but we ended up losing game two as well. So this is the game two. I wanted to go over some points for the team, but I figured I'd share it with everybody in terms of like spots to improve. Maybe it gives you a better understanding of some different ways that you could improve, or makes you see League in a different way. But basically, I think that we did okay in this draft. The other team. The top laner has a pretty concentrated champion pool, but he's extremely good at all of the champions that he plays. So even if we banned out 3 or 4 champions, then they'd be able to pick his other champion in the first 4. And even if we counterpicked it, most likely he's going to get out of the laning phase pretty good because, like I said, he's an ex-professional player. He understands how to play weak side. And yeah, that's just basically it. Their jungler has a lot of champions that they play, so you can't really target ban all of their champion pool. You have to pick the champions in their pool you don't want to play against for composition purposes. Mid laner was the same thing. AD, well, actually, the mid laner was mostly control mages. We weren't really afraid of playing against AD champions, but things like Cassiopeia are pretty good against a lot of our champion pool, or at least our preferred champion pool and preferred playstyle. Their AD carry plays basically everything, and their support plays basically everything. Which is that's the goal, is to have a gigantic champion pool that a bunch of different team compositions can come from. They banned out Camille, Thresh, and Pike. Then they also banned Tahm Kench and Morgana because we had Senna. But I think that I was pretty happy with the draft. Lilia against Elise, like obviously there's counterplay for Elise. She can get picks during the mid and late game. And this jungler did a good job of getting them back into the game. They didn't have an AD carry, but they had Gangplank, who does a ton of damage in the late game. Cassiopeia, same exact thing. They had Malphite for strong engage. They had Shen, which the Shen really didn't have a good game. There were a lot of ultimates, but that was basically it. So we had Ornn, who's just a good top laner in general. Has its weaknesses, but is a good top laner in general. Lilia, who's one of the best junglers in the game right now. Aurelia, who's one of our best champions and is also a very strong champion right now. Up against Malphite, it's a little difficult to create pressure in the mid lane, but we had our chances. And then Senna and Swain bot lane. I think this is really the strongest point of our draft and something that we should have played around better. So with Senna and Swain, in my opinion, the Cassiopeia is going to have a very difficult time farming because Senna can outrange Cassiopeia and the Swain can continuously look to lock down the Cassiopeia. So I was happy with that. I think that it was fine. Another thing to notice is that their team's range is very low, so they'll basically be all on top of you during the late game team fights. So things like Swain's ultimate get additional value. Senna's ultimate gets additional value. Lilia has more chances to do damage to multiple champions, and like theoretically an Ornn ultimate could be very impactful. But yeah, let's just see how the game kind of plays out. So let's get into the early part of the laning phase. So they started pushing on us. They got level 2 first, which is kind of expected. One thing that I noticed after the first game is that their support roams a ton, and this is to make the mid lane uneasy. So we almost lost first blood here, but we got first blood. So already we have a small lead. And this is exactly how we should be playing the game, because we know that their bot lane is going to be the weak point. So there are a few reasons why this is the case. Cassiopeia is a champion that scales really well, so you want to keep her down as long as possible. Swain is a champion that has a global ultimate, so if you're attacking the global, you get less value out of it. Like, a lot of the time, let's say you gank Cassiopeia and Shen, and Cassiopeia is relatively low, the Shen is going to try to ult Cassiopeia to save her, and she may or may not be able to. So this is a good find by Min. Min's very good at Lilia. And at this point we have a 2-kill lead. They were trying to get Gangplank ahead in the top lane because in the late game he can basically one-shot our AD carry, which we will unfortunately see. Alright, so we did a good job in the top lane. Again, Min was looking for ganking opportunities. Min was very aggressive in this game, especially in the early game. So now we're up 3 kills. I'm pretty sure at this point we're up over 1,000 gold. We get a dragon, and this is the first point that I'd like to talk about. So I'm going to slow it down. All right. So we know that we can take this dragon for free. Cassiopeia is in the bot lane, right? So even though we're standing on vision right now, we shouldn't be afraid of the enemy team, in my opinion. This is where the mistake comes in. So we took a lot of additional damage, and then we didn't get out of the Gangplank ultimate. So there's no way that we should be dying in that spot. We know that they're collapsing on us. We know that they want to try to do something, but they only had three players to do it. So in my opinion, the call should have been bring in Aurelia. Like, even if it means that we have to waste a teleport or use our teleport, it secures the objective that we're trying to get, which is important. Like, you why even leave it up to question? So I think that was a mistake. But to be honest, we're not asking our players to be perfect. We're just asking them to make as many good decisions as possible, and ultimately that's going to give us an advantage. So I can speed it back up at this point. And I do think that because of the way that the first game went, I think that our team was a little stressed out, and we started making some questionable plays, like continuing the pressure a little, maybe even a little bit more than we should have. So at this point, like, we know that we have a lead in the bot lane. You can shift your perspective from, like, let's build a lead to let's take a tower or something like that, because that's going to create a positional advantage for us. Maybe we can swap our bot lane up to top, go against Gangplank, try to force him off of his tower. Then we're up 2 towers. Then you force them to get desperate and try to make a lot more aggressive plays. That's really the direction that we should have went. So right here, we went for a tower dive onto the Gangplank. And this is another thing that we've discussed with the team a lot, is, like, just because the jungler is going to gank top lane doesn't mean the jungler and the top laner are the only ones who need to, like, be paying attention or have a vested interest in how that gank goes, because it's going to impact our entire team. So we got a kill onto the Gangplank, but both of our players die. One thing that we should have been communicating in the chat more clearly is, like, Senna, we need your ultimate here, so that we can have more effective health to finish this dive and be more healthy. But it came out pretty late, and that's not one person's fault. That is a team error. And again, we get another good claw onto Cassiopeia. So we see that Shen is mid lane, and we start pushing down this tower. Lance went for a flash and ended up dying. That was a little unlucky. I think that he could have zoned her off and just tried to focus on the tower, but he wanted to make the aggressive play, and I respect that. I think that it was definitely possible for us to get everything there, to get the kill and more turret plates. So then our focus is on shoving in bot tower still. So here, again, we try to make an aggressive play and we get punished for it. Like we were playing as if the game was even or like we were losing, but in reality we were winning, which is concerning. Another thing that they did really well was invade, group together four different things. Like in this situation, I'm shocked that we weren't able to respond to this better. So let's go back and let's try to understand why this happened. Okay, so they just made a gank mid lane. They're all off the map, right? And we don't have any vision control in the river. So where do we think they are? That's really what the question is. So in this spot, Lance, our support, should be trying to get a ward into this bush or into this bush down here. Let me get rid of that. Basically, right on this part of the map, we need vision in this part of the map so that we know where they're coming from. Yeah, Elise barely got out. Pretty unlucky. But the play continues. Their fourth player comes in. Our mid laner looked to make an aggressive play by flashing in. That was successful. So we didn't really lose too much off of it, but it feels like a loss in my opinion because we should have been able to anticipate them coming into our jungle, and we should have been more prepared for it. So I think that even though it went like 2 for 2, it should have been like a 3-0 or something like that. And at that point, the game would have been fundamentally different. The other thing is, even though it went 2 for 2, the comms were not great in that spot at all. So it makes me as a coach feel like our team is being a little apprehensive or afraid. Or the worst case scenario would be not thinking about it. Because we did make some of these mistakes multiple times. So again, they're all off the map, so we need to be kind of we need to pay attention to where they might be. Malphite's back on the map. We don't know where Shen is. We don't know where Elise is. So they could easily be coming bot lane. Shen is back bot lane. Malphite's looking to roam down. And right now our idea is to contest this dragon. They engaged on mid lane. That shouldn't have really happened. Like, we know that they're looking to make a play in the mid lane. Our mid laner needs to be a little bit more passive. Like, there's no reason to like contest that wave without the help of the rest of the team. If that is the priority and if that's going to be an issue, then our bot lane should have been closer, basically. So they take dragon. I think we trade this for Rift Herald and we continue to pressure bot tower. So this is another spot where they should have been calling for Senna ultimate immediately because we know that we're making a play. So our team needs to be ready to make the play altogether. And we do end up getting it, but I think there was a better opportunity for it earlier. So Ornn died. And now it's 2v1 bot lane again. So we know the Cassiopeia is alone. We should be getting this tower 100 out of 100 times. So we went 2 for 1 top lane. We get a tower out of this. In reality, we win this trade. So now their team is backing, and they're going to look to respond bot lane. They took Rift Herald. Shen is roaming towards top, and this is another thing that happened a few times. So earlier in the game, I mentioned we weren't really communicating where their potential vision was very well, and we knew that they just took Rift Herald at 1450. Right now it's 1458. We have Shen moving towards Lilia in the jungle, and we don't have vision. So our assumption needs to be that we're going to get attacked in the jungle. Like that's just an awareness issue right there. And then we look to make a little bit of an aggressive play by charging forward. Our Aurelia gets caught in the jungle. So we just had 2 deaths there for basically no reason besides not having vision control. Turns into a 3rd death. Ornn gets a good knock-up, and we get a kill back. So now it's 2 for 1. And then we get a kill onto the Elise, so that it's a 2 for 2. 3 for 2? 3 for 2. It's a triple kill. So even though, and again, it's important to make the distinction, even though we salvaged the play somewhat, and went 3 for 3 over the extended period, the initial, we shouldn't have been at a deficit in that trade to begin with. We lost bot tower. We lost damage on top tower. That was a good try. That was a good try by the team on coordinating that ultimate. So that's what I want to see more often. We ended up getting the kill. The call here should probably be to be careful because their jungler was coming up, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So for that part right there, Ornn probably should have been in the bush instead of trying to make an item outside of the bush, but that's a very, very micro point, not a huge deal. And then we went to make this is just the Gangplank hiding in a bush and killing the Aurelia. So that was a pretty good play by them. But it's 14-12 at the 17-minute mark. It's 1 dragon to 1. It should probably be 2 dragons to 0, because when that earlier fight happened where we got picked off, they were not nearly as strong as it seemed. They made a good pick, but that's about it. So we have another dragon coming up. And again, their entire team is off the map. Lance probably shouldn't be in the mid lane. He should be trying to help create vision around the map. So we want this part to be swept. We want wards thrown over the walls. We know that dragon is coming up, so that should be what our ward coverage is for. So right now, again, standing mid lane, pushing out into the river is really what we need. And then the team needs to be playing around that all together, all 5 of us. So Gangplank ults, which is good for us. That's one less ultimate we have to worry about in the team fight. Lance should be sweeping right there again. Sweeper was up and available for a long time. We start looking for a play, but it's way too late. So this is a spot where we should have been making a long range engage attempt. So let's go back to this point. So it's the 18-minute mark. We know the dragon's coming up relatively soon. We need vision here. We need to place wards over here, and then we want to get mid priority by shoving out the wave all before dragon happens. And those should really be the objectives that we're talking about in the comms. We had our jungler in base, which is fine. They had to back. We had 2 champions in the bot lane. Not necessary. We needed that 3rd person in the mid lane to help contest mid priority. Not even sure how that happened. Yeah, so I think Thomas was looking to go down that direction because he knew dragon was coming up. But we really needed that 3rd player mid because we need to, due to their pick potential with Elise and engaging with Malphite, we really need to be a 4 to 5 player unit in the mid lane. Gangplank gets off a good barrel. It is a wasted ultimate for the most part. I think it did a little bit of damage, but we shouldn't be afraid of that. During this time, though, we know that dragon is spawning. So if we had instead of having to get our players to mid lane, if the call was to be shoving out through mid lane, I think like in the future we'd be able to make this play much better. And then we know that the dragon is up. We should be sweeping, like I said right here. We're coming through the river. This is when I would be looking for an Ornn ultimate. Like Ornn ultimate has a very long range, and it's going to potentially cause the other team to panic a little bit. Maybe use some summoners so that the next fight we have a summoner advantage. It's not always about the fight that you're currently in. Yeah, so we haven't used our ultimates yet. And, you know, this was a very aggressive play by the Ornn. I don't dislike the play. I just dislike the order. So I would have preferred using the Ornn ultimate from a long range. If the idea is to just get a kill onto the Malphite, then we could have started that off much earlier. So we didn't have Senna ultimate, which is another thing that we should have been communicating to the team, like wait for ultimate, wait for ultimate. Another thing that we could have been talking about in comms is trading objectives. So right when we knew that they were kind of separated, we could have been calling for mid lane. Eventually, we do get to mid lane, but it wasn't the instant call. So just because you ended up on the right decision doesn't mean that your process to get to the decision was correct. We need to be more intentional about which objectives we're prioritizing. So one of the first things that we did when I first started working with the team was try to not only discuss the objective we wanted, but also potential trading options. So for that dragon, for example, we could say we want to fight dragon. If we can't fight the dragon, priority is mid lane, not chasing a fight or chasing a kill. And this like we started trying to make a little bit of a desperation play. We overextended for these. Then we were calling for teleport. We should have just stayed top lane and taken the tower to get rid of that tower advantage they had in the top lane. Like, what are we going to accomplish down here? Like, we're gonna fight. Like, that's a couple hundred gold. Or we could go for the guaranteed 300 gold from that tower we would have gotten, plus opening up the map a little bit, which would have been a positive for us. And then we overstayed. We tried re-engaging. Really not necessary. Because up until this point, up until that last dragon fight, I really think that we had good chances to win this match. It's definitely not over. We have some more close fights, but so this was good. We got a shutdown, and we also get a few kills on the enemy team. We know that they're doing Baron, but there wasn't much we could do. And this is a spot in the match that I was actually very happy with what we were doing as a team. So to paint a picture, they had just taken Baron. Gangplank didn't have it. Shen didn't have it because they were both dead. They wanted to fight us over this dragon. And we decided, like, this is kind of where we're going to try to make a stand. So the call is to contest. This, I was very, very afraid when we were walking through this choke point. When they have a champion like Gangplank, Cassiopeia, Malphite, you really don't want to walk through a choke point as 5 players all at the same time, but they didn't punish it. So they're taking a little bit of damage already, and we knew that we had this advantage, the ranged advantage for Senna for most of the game. Personally, I would have liked if we had like one more disengage option, or like a champion that could keep the enemy team in place, because while Ornn is a very good like engaged champion, if Ornn gets put onto the back foot, it's really nowhere near as strong. Just taking a look at the ultimates that we have Irelia ultimate, Lilia ultimate. We don't have Ornn or Senna. We also have Swain ultimate. So they get the dragon, but we take this as an opportunity to get onto the enemy team. Cassiopeia kind of wastes her ultimate. I wish that we had a little bit more of a focus fire mentality in this. So our mid laner Thomas goes into the back line. I respect the decision, but Cassiopeia is the priority target. If we can eliminate Cassiopeia from the map, we probably could have aced them, and we would have gotten the inhibitor for free. But in all seriousness, it was a great fight for us. Like, I think that it was a mistake by the other team to allow us to do this, but I'm fine with other teams making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You just need to be able to identify when they've made a mistake and capitalize on it. So we shove in and we get the tower, but we're unable to get anything else. This was an overstay. So when we're right here at this exact point, our top laner was saying, make sure to get as much of the enemy jungle as possible, which is it's the right mentality to have. You want to take away their resources every opportunity that you can. The problem is that we didn't have enough time to take this safely, because they're all on the map again, and we get caught out in the top lane. So we should have been able to anticipate this. That was a good heal by Daniel. And then again, we should be talking about Senna ultimates. So we know that Ornn is being chased down. There's no Baron. There's no Dragon for a couple of minutes. If we can turn this into a fight for us, then we should kind of look for that chance, because they overextended to try to get this kill. So right now, this is the kind of corridor we're looking for a Senna ultimate. Senna could have ulted the Ornn and gotten the Elise at the same time. If Elise is afraid of the Senna ultimate, maybe Elise uses Repel early for no reason. And that's just a benefit for us, because then we could have killed her pretty easily. Like, on a micro level, I think Mauricio did everything that he could to not die in the situation. But because of the lapse in judgment about going for their camps, or at least the amount of time he had to do that, it ends up resulting in a kill. So right here, 100 out of 100 times, we need to be using Senna ultimate. Not only are you going to shield your teammate, you're going to deal damage to the Elise. You're going to give a shield to Lilia just in case any other teammates of theirs are showing up. We want to be proactive with that ultimate. So right here it's an amazing Senna opportunity. Save a teammate, potentially deal damage to the enemy, and then get 2 more enemy champions with your ultimate. So like right there, knowing that he's walking through Galio ultimate, that's really when it should have started, because you can use your Senna ultimate, have it charging, and then right when it finishes, you're going to be giving him a shield, and you're also going to be able to heal him with your summoner spell, which is instantaneous. So the ability that requires more time should be used first, especially when it's more impactful. Because like against the grievous wounds, shields are much better. And we don't have any vision of the enemy team. We know that they're probably topside still and in our jungle. So we just saw Cassiopeia on a ward right there. We should have had a little bit better vision control at this point in the game of our own jungle. The reason why it didn't happen in this instance is because, like, obviously we didn't have a time to reset. We had to kind of start defending our jungle. We had to defend our top laner because he was being chased through our jungle. So at this point, if I'm the jungler on my team, I'm afraid of my own jungle. I think I can die anytime I walk into the jungle. And a lot of that has to do with the tower pressure that they have, which goes back to the other chances we had to equalize towers and stuff like that. So like top lane, we could have had another tower taken. Because like not only are we getting pressured top lane by minions, but also lack of vision control. They have a champion like Elise that can get picks. So we're grouping up right now. We're we're not 100% sure where the enemy team is. We are on their red buff, which is pretty good. Just a solid proactive play. So now we're looking for a fight. We're disconnected right now. We have 4 champions in the jungle. Our mid laner was in mid lane, but we're able to get a pick. So this is the most important part of the game. If this was a professional match, take a second and think to yourself, what would the call be? The call is probably walk through the jungle, get some vision control on your way to the inhibitor, and ultimately the goal is to take the inhibitor. If they defend their inhibitor, we should be able to win a fight very easily. We have Senna ultimate, we have Aurelia ultimate, we have Ornn ultimate. Like, we need to make... This is our chance to make a game-winning play, in my opinion. So let's see how we go about doing this. All right, so I wish every time I pause it, it didn't do that thing with the... So this is the objective. This champion can create a lot of pressure in the zone with barrels and with his ultimate. So that's what we need to avoid, is losing a fight to this champion right here, who is doing a ton of damage because he is a gangplank with a lot of items and a lot of resources. So we discussed this once the game was over, but like, Ornn ultimate is going to force them away. Aurelia ultimate can potentially force them away because they're going to maybe flash out thinking it's 5 versus 4. All we need to do right now is not lose this game and we'll take the next fight and we'll win. So you have to kind of think of it not only from your own perspective, but also what the other enemy team is probably communicating to one another. So we had 4 champions stacked on top of each other up here. And like I said, our goal is to not be clumped up against Gangplank because Gangplank will kill somebody. So Shen is not on the map and neither is Elise. So this is also a time where we should be thinking about what direction are they coming from. And we, instead of like, it's a 5 versus 4. We could have fought them by pushing further into their base. But that wasn't the call that we made. So Elise hit a good cocoon. And this fight is already starting. Let's, like, why are we not using our abilities right here? Like, there's another 15 seconds until Malphite is back on the map. We should be using Ornn ultimate, using Aurelia ultimate, using Senna ultimate, trying to catch out one of their players, getting that kill, and then it becomes a 5v3. Once we get into a 5v3, there's no way that we should be losing this kind of fight. Yeah, like, I don't necessarily think that Min was making any mistakes by being up in that direction. Like, right there, probably try to contest that barrel by throwing an auto attack at it. And also just having our team be more connected. Like, we need to be more connected to one another in that fight. But we lost a 5v3. That's just the reality of the situation. I think the other team, they are a good team. Like, I don't think I'm surprising anybody by saying that, but we could have done better, and we're trying to get into a spot where we can contest these kinds of teams and execute the plays correctly. Because if this wasn't a good team, the bad team probably just gives away the inhibitor and says, actually, the good team, the bad team probably just gives away the inhibitor and doesn't put themselves in a spot where they should have probably died. If our engage was a little bit easier, I think we would have been in a better spot. It just felt like we weren't looking for the opportunities to make a play when a play is presented. Like, that's the issue. And then this team fight. I mean, this team fight, we had a great chance to win this team fight, and I'm honestly surprised that we didn't win this team fight. So let's back up. All right, so obviously it's 25-21. We've pushed into their base. We just lost a fight. We're missing 2 ultimates, but Dragon is coming up. So the call could either be establish position and make sure that they can't take the Dragon until we establish control. But Min gets a pick onto the Cassiopeia. We get a kill on the Cassiopeia, right? Ooh, we don't. or at least we didn't fast enough. But right now it's a 4v4. Their only damage is really Gangplank. So we should be focusing on Gangplank. We know that Elise is up on the top part of the map. We got a little disjointed there. We just weren't connected the right way. And our team should have done a better job protecting the AD carry. The Elise was doing so much damage. So that was kind of upsetting. The Ornn ultimate should have been used on Elise probably, just to guarantee that one kill. I get what he was trying to do by hitting the Gangplank and the Malphite, but there's no way we should have lost that fight. And I'm sure when the team looks at this, they'll kind of like analyze what they could have done better. And yeah. Yeah, so we didn't have Senna ultimate that entire fight. Oh man, see, he got hit by that cocoon. He could have easily avoided that. That was probably not even like a mistake in terms of he tried to do something he shouldn't do. I think that he probably attack clicked away and autoed a ward. That's what it seemed like, at least. And they didn't end the game here, but the game is over at this point, in my opinion. So, overall, I was a little disappointed. The first game was pretty bad. The second game, I think we did a really good job and we had opportunities to win. So I was happy about that. But there were a lot of things that we need to improve on, and I was feeling a little down because of this. But the team instantly was just okay with it and went in to play a flex queue game because they thought to themselves, we need to improve. Let's play a flex game and try to learn some new champions. Let's try to get better as a team. So it was literally the best thing that you could possibly do after a loss, which shows maturity. And that was probably the best thing of the entire night, was that they just lost 2-0 and they weren't defeated. They were like, all right, we lost the match. Let's get better so that the next time we play them, we can beat them. And that is the sign of a very good team, or at least a team with the potential to be very good. I think our players are definitely skilled enough to compete with Bay State, and we have high expectations for ourselves. We want to be a very good team, so we're doing everything we can to play towards that. And yeah, that was how it ended, and we were okay with it. So I think that our next match is probably not for another week or so. So we're going to try to get some scrims in, have the players expand their champion pools a little bit more, because that's been an issue for us for a long time, champion pools. And we've had some roster changes, we've had some positional changes. So this is expected. We've only been playing with this iteration of the team for about 2 weeks, I think. So we're very excited with the progress that we've made, because we know that there's so much more progress that we can make. The amount of the way that we've accelerated is very. It's a good sign. But that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.